Welcome Earth Space class. This is a demo that fits in this section of the class called rock candy making. Normally we do this as a class. I'm trying to do this with webcam on my laptop. I just like that a little better than a cell phone. See if it works. What we're basically doing is we're going to try to make some rock candy that looks like this. Okay. And the purpose of it is that this is a very nice parallel to what goes on in nature as mineral crystals form. And they may form as a magma cools. They may form as seawater evaporates. Lots of different ways. But that process of sugar crystal formation that we're trying to mimic here today, or that we're using today to mimic minerals forming in the wild, this is a real good a parallel to that. It's virtually the same process, sped up, and the results of this one you can actually eat. So what I've done is I put on Moodle this handout, which normally I give to the class, and so it's in a PDF on Moodle, and I'm going to go through some steps today. I'm going to start and stop just a little bit. So the first thing that I'm going to do is seed a string. So right here I have just some normal cotton string, and it's been kept in a bag for this particular lab, though, so that it remains sanitary, can be eaten, used in something that is eaten. And what we're going to do is we're going to seed it with some crystals that then some sugar water, as it evaporates off the water, the remaining sugar in that water can coalesce or form around the crystals that we've embedded in this string. And again, that's a very good correlation to what goes on in nature, be it in a cave environment, in a lava flow. There are seed crystals already embedded there that other crystals will form around. So this is a good parallel. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/8 cup of water. Now I've got 2 measuring cups here. I'm sure you might just have one, just dry it out between. So 1/8 cup of water, and about 1/2 cup of sugar. Now this recipe is for a number of treatments, if you will, a number of different jars that are going to make the rock candy. This is the jar we're going to make it in. You could do this in a tall drinking glass. That's fine. It doesn't have to be expensive material. I've also got a dedicated wooden spoon for stirring. So we'll just kind of stir this up as it heats. Not much water in there, of course. Then I'm going to take this string, and I'm going to cut a piece of it off. Okay. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put some sugar crystals on this piece of aluminum foil here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to place that string in this sugar water when it melts, and just sort of totally saturate this string with sugar water. And then I'm going to take it out of there, and I'm going to roll it in this sugar that I've put here on this aluminum foil, and then just set it aside to cool. So I'm going to pause this for a minute now. We'll let this heat up and melt the sugar crystals in there, and then I'll start it back up again. Okay, so I'm back. You can see the sugar water is definitely boiling, and so I put the string down in there, and now I'm going to pull the string out and roll it in the sugar on the aluminum foil. This is, of course, very hot. I don't know what your classrooms will allow, depending on your district, depending on the level of the students that you're dealing with. Some of this you're just going to have to do on your own on the side. You can have these seeded strings already done. That's what I typically do for this class, so that that part the students don't have to do. And that works pretty good, even for college-age class. So there, that string is going to cool. Good stuff. I always have a pair of hot gloves. These are UV gloves. You can buy the fancy laboratory ones for $1 bazillion, or these, which work just fine. And so I'm going to set that sugar water off there for right now. And I'm going to assume that you might not necessarily have access to lots of labware. So I'm just going to use that same beaker again. And if you look at your handout that I gave you, your instructions, okay, that's the seeded string part. So I'm on the rock candy chemistry side. Okay, and so this is the sort of the explanation front side. This is the actual directions making the rock candy. And so while that seeded string is going, let's get this sugar water made that we're going to grow the rock candy crystals in. So it says to have 2 cups of sugar, large cup, 2 cups of sugar, and we're going to put those in and add 1 cup of water to this, and then bring that mixture to a boil. So the first thing I'll do is I'll get these in there. Okay, and then I'll grab a cup of water. I could have had that done beforehand, couldn't I? Okay, a cup of water goes in. Okay, I'm going to put the gloves back on. And we'll get this back on the stove heating. Crank it up pretty high again. And I'm going to mix in some of that sugar. Now you want to, when you do this part, you want to keep this sugar mixed. You want to keep stirring it. You don't want you for sure don't want any sugar to get on the hot plate, because that's going to make it stink to high heaven. And if you say, well, I won't have hot plates. Well, yeah, that's true. But you can go to stores like Cub or Festival, and they have some an aisle that has implements in it, like kitchen implements in it. And you'll see these little 1-burner hot plates for like $10, $20. You don't have to have a $500 laboratory hot plate like I have here to accomplish this. So what we're doing now then is we're just heating up this sugar water, and in a little bit, when that gets fairly clear, I'm going to add a 3rd cup of sugar. So I'm going to have 3 cups of sugar in 1 cup of water. So that's a fairly concentrated solution of sugar water that we're going to use to make our rock candy from. So again, in just a minute, I'm going to add a 3rd cup of sugar here and get that boiling until it's clear. I'll probably come back in after the 3rd cup has been added, and when it's nearly ready to be used. So I'll pause again for just a minute. Okay, so rather than make you sit and watch water boil, or sugar water boil, I've just let some time expire here. Now this sugar water has got the additional 3rd cup, not a 1/3 of a cup, but a 3rd cup of sugar in it. I've heated it to boiling. Now you want to be careful not to overheat the sugar too. If you overheat it, it will change it molecularly and it will not recrystallize. It'll just stay as syrup. So the temperature is important, not to overheat. Ideally, once you get it heated to the point that the sugar is dissolved in the solution, and then you take it off the heat, this will clear up. And so I'm going to take this off the heat because it is boiling now, and turn the heat off. Now, honestly, for most of your classrooms, if heat's going to be an issue, which it might well be, you can do this and bring the dissolved syrup. You can let this cool for a while and still use it. And so you can bring the seeded crystals and the dissolved sugar water to your classroom and use it like that. Just be ready to prove to them that it is what you say. Cut off a little piece of the seeded string so they can see it's actually sugar. Have a spot where they can take a little touch on a spoon or a stick or something of the sugar water and verify that it is actually sugar water. At any rate, once you've got the sugar dissolved and you can see it starting to clear up down towards the bottom, that's what we're looking for. Now you can make it a little less boring. One of the things you can do is add flavoring to it. Now this is where we depart from a natural situation. We don't have flavored rocks. Well, they're flavored, but they're not a desirable flavor. And so you can put some flavoring in there. I like to put about a capful in. If a little's good, more is better. I just chose orange. No particular reason. Good smell, though. Mix that in. And That's kind of a boring color, so I think I'm going to add a little color to it, a little food coloring. Maybe a lot. We'll see what color we get here. Kind of a neat color. Not sure what you call that color, but wow, I don't know. I'm a Packer fan, so this is bothering me a little bit. I maybe should have chose green or yellow, you know. Oh well. So we'll mix that in. Now we have a flavor that really doesn't go with the color, but oh well, that's okay. Now you take your seeded string that you've got here, and I've drilled 2 holes in a cap, and you want to take one end of the string, put it through one hole. You can just use one hole in a cap too; it doesn't matter. This way, I'm getting 2 pieces of rock candy out of one jar, and then I'll take the other end and put it through the other hole. Tie a knot in it like I'm doing here so it doesn't pull back through. Okay, there we go. Can't do this in a classroom, can you? You'd be modeling bad behavior. You can write that in the course evaluation for this class. I didn't model everything like you should. Okay, then you take your scissors and you cut that string, and now you've got 2 seeded strings. We'll get hopefully 2 batch of sugar crystals out of that. We'll set that aside. Okay, I like sugar a little too much. Okay, so then what you do is you take your jar, and honestly, that's probably enough sugar water for 2 of these jars of this size. You know, you can do the math. You can figure out the volume. Just test it out with water beforehand or whatever. I'm just going to do 1 jar. And so we'll take that sugar water, mix it up again, make sure it's real good and mixed. Very pretty color. And with my gloves, again, if you wait till this is cool to just warm, that's fine, and use it in your classroom. And we'll pour that in. Now, normally it doesn't. It fills these 2 jars to about there if I do 2 jars. But since we're just using 1 jar, we're going to go for it all the way to the top. There we go. Okay. Now, you do not want to put that seeded string directly into that hot sugar water. So this might be another reason to use only a warm sugar water that you've pre-made in a classroom. If you put these seeded strings in there just like that, they will melt all the seeded crystals you put in the string, and you'll be starting from 0. So you want to let that cool before you put the seeded string in, and then you just set the cap on, maybe just a turn or 2, doesn't have to be real tight. But one of the things you want to watch for is that the strings don't come all the way to the bottom. Now you see if I put this one in there like that, the strings are too long. If they're too long and touch the bottom, the crystals that form in the bottom will latch onto those strings, and you won't be able to get these out. So I'm going to cut some off these strings. I like that a lot better. Okay, they're suspended up off the bottom of the jar a bit, and won't become embedded in the crystals at the bottom of the jar. Okay, again, I'm just going to leave that to the side, and I'll put that in later. I don't think you need to see that. You've already seen what the end result is. Okay, here's a pink one. This is what we're after. Okay, like one of those cooking shows on TV. Now, yeah, that's what we'll. Now it'll take several days to grow these, so there needs to be some patience there. But they can check them periodically. If you put them these on a background, typically with white paper behind them, you can see them a little bit more easily, and they can watch the crystals grow. If you don't want to use strings, you can use skewers or chopsticks, something of that sort. Okay, and that's what's done here. Worked really, really well, and just set them in the jar, yeah, worked really well. So that's just another option for you. Okay, again, this was just an attempt to model crystal formation. Since we're on minerals, this is a good activity. It also goes with igneous rocks, and something that you can do in a classroom or adapt to your classroom. All right, thank you. Have a good day.